Good morning, everybody. My name is Jody. My husband David John and I have a small farm in the panhandle of North Idaho. These are our stories and adventures, so welcome to Moose Flats Farm. On today's adventure, we're going to start with basically releasing the goslings. The other day after I shot that clip about putting them in the lean-to in the playpen, Valkyrie would not leave the side of it, so I just picked her up because she was just laying there cooing to him. Picked her up and plopped her in there. So it's been a week and we're hoping that they basically have bonded together. So we're going to go in and take the playpen out so Valkyrie can get out and get moving around and the babies can come out with her. So let's go get them released. Yeah. And this one wound up being a gosling, not a Muscovy. Well guys, that was kind of anticlimactic. Did wind up putting a gate across the doorway there to keep the ganders out because they were getting a little rough with the babies. But on goes their drama saga. But as far as in the garden, one of my mentors, one of the channels I watch, she has this quote that she uses quite often. It's, "The best medicine for the garden is the gardener." So if you plant just a bare bones, nothing interesting in your garden, you're less likely to be out there because there's nothing of visual interest that you want to be out there seeing. So David John was of that mindset, had slowly started switching him to having the flowers and the visual interest in the garden. It just makes it more fun to be out here, a little more whimsy. So today I've been working on two little areas that are going to just be perennial areas. One is right here at the end of the herb bed. I'm going to pull it out, plant a climbing rose. It's called Sally Holmes. It looks kind of like an apple blossom, so it's that white with the tinge of pink. but this guy. And this was an impulse purchase. So David John, because of my impulse, he built me a wooden trellis for this thing to climb on. So let's get it planted, and then I'll show you the other perennial area that I've got started. Let's go. Going to carefully remove some of this bark so I can get to the main roots of it without really damaging the new roots that are growing. Okay, I'm going to go soak this in some water and try to get this part here softened up. Be back with you in a minute. Okay, so the reason I'm trying to get the shavings away from the roots is because you've got your main leader roots, and when you plant it, you want to basically in the hole, you'll build up a cone in the, and then you'll spread the roots over it. It just makes it a more stable, because right now if you did, it would just move all over the place in the ground till it got established. And this, plus this stuff will break down a lot faster, and then there would be a void, which could be damaging to the rose itself. Okay, now that I've got most of the shavings removed, you can kind of see how you need to build a cone in the hole for it to go in. And because of the way that it's growing, I'm going to plant it at a slight angle. So let's see if we can get this cone shape built up for it. So, you want to plant him kind of like that, and I'm going to have to add some more soil. You see how I kind of got that cone shape built up? Just kind of rock him down in there. Get it. Actually, since all the growth is going on this side, I'm actually going to plant him that way, so that way it'll be easier to train him onto the trellis. So let's redo our cone. And then I'm just going to fill the soil and make a little water bowl around it, so when I'm watering it I can soak them down good. That should be a good water bowl. These guys, they fall. Now let's see if we can get the trellis slid in here and tied off. So there, got the rose planted, just have to water it in, and it'll have that 10-foot trellis to be trained up on. And then come this summer, we'll have this big green rose here with the apple blossom colored flowers. Be really great for bringing in pollinators, and it will be a visually stunning spot in the garden. So I'm going to go switch the battery and then I'll show you the other perennial area. So over here you have the main gate coming in, and then I have in this main pathway added this rose arbor. I know you're going, why'd you have David John build you an arbor for your rose when you have a rose arbor? But the rose, I only have the one and I didn't want to have two. So over here on this arbor, I have gone through and added box wire and spray painted it black, because down here I have two clematises. This one over here on this side is a multi-blue, and then the one over here is Rogue Cardinal, so it's a red clematis. And it's one of the things with clematises, they like their tops hot and their bottoms cool. So I will be going through, and it's like I picked up this pink moss rose that I'm going to plant because it stays low on this side on both of them, and then around the outside on the back I'm going to be planting the echinacea and like the milkweed and maybe some other perennial flowers. It's only going to be probably about the perennial bed part of it, because the trellis is a foot, so probably a total of 3 feet, so a foot on each side, just right here, just to make a pollinator spot right in the middle of the garden, just for the fun of it. But I did get the little weeping pussy willow transplanted. I have not added the flowers to that pot yet, but it's looking pretty right there. And then my volunteer columbine is about ready to bloom. Got another one there. Strawberry bed. Got a big one right there. And around the corner, got another big clump of columbine. And those are wild planted, and they just add some interest and whimsy into the garden. like I was saying, it brings in pollinators and it makes it fun to come out here and see what Mother Nature has planted for me. But as my perennial shade bed over here, since besides the strawberry bed, it's the one that's shown the most amount of life. Got a couple volunteer columbines, the 2 different types of daylilies I've planted. Got hostas coming back. They didn't really do that much last year, but hopefully this year. The pansies that I planted last year have come back, and then my ferns in the back. The clump of oregano. Still don't see any corn coming up, but we do have the clumps of sunflowers. Definitely will have to go through and thin some of these clumps out. It's like wild planted sunflowers there. And it's like here I've got a little thyme and some chives that just started themselves. This mint pot did not come back, so it will be getting removed. But over in this corn bed, I've got one little sprig of corn popping up, and then the sunflowers along the edges. But the potato bed, that's the exciting one, because it's starting to take off just like the wind. Potatoes starting to pop all the way through. That's like my apple trees. 2 of them are absolutely loaded. This one has a few, not very many. And then that one is absolutely just covered and stunning. But the little pear over here by the rhubarb that I need to prune back is starting to show growth. Let's go take a peek at the new orchard and see how it's doing. So over here, you remember I planted grapes. These 2 did not make it. And that was my red flame grape. Not sure why they didn't make it through the winter, but I do have that other pot of grapes that I will be switching out into here. But this is my peach, and as you see, it's got growth coming all over it. The one little cherry tree, and it's got a few blooms on it. The apple here, for as little as it is covered with blossoms and looking really good. The other little cherry, it's got a couple blossoms on it and starting to take off. Or no, that's my plum. Yeah, oh, that's the plum. And then this apple tree has got growth coming on. And this is the other cherry, and it's doing really good. And that's the other apple, the straight stick, but it's got lots of growth. These two little grapes over here, as you can see, are, not sure what that white stuff is, but I've got buds swelling all over it, so that's going to be doing really good. Let's go down to the house and I'll show you some of the pretty spring color I have going down here, and what the perennial bed that I made in front of the house looks like. I think it's going to be really stunning this summer once all that stuff starts blooming. So, got the two planter boxes here. Right now they just have the tulips in it. I did get a dwarf Alberta spruce, and it's planted here in a box. And that box that the dwarf Alberta is in is a bottomless box, so it just elevates the dwarf Alberta a little bit. And they're slow growing, so it's not going to really encroaching into the walkway. But the perennial bed, got my tulips, got a columbine there, an astilbe, delphinium, and that astilbe is taking off like crazy and spreading. Another delphinium, astilbe in the back there, and then the bleeding heart. So that turned out really pretty this year. And I did plant some double daffodils, and I'll show you an example. They never really opened, and if they did, they looked really gnarly. Not sure what was up with that. But I got a new citronella. So over here on the deck, check out the bog. The Japanese maple's doing fabulous. Got the knotweed. And David John's always had the daylilies along there. I've just added tulips for spring color. Let's go look at where the Mother's Day bed is right now. And these big plants right here at the end of the pond, that's the borage. And the borage is just a really good pollinator plant for butterflies and bees. But my hot vines are taking off. And I wasn't quite sure on this one if it was going to make it or if it was going to rot out, because this winter it just filled with water and wasn't draining. So I emergency punched a hole in the pot. So I'm going to have to remember that it drains really well now. But the little Shasta daisy. And this hot vine is growing through the fence. There. This one has always been the weaker one of the 3 hops, but it does have growth coming up on it. The variegated grass, the Faltspiraea that I need to come out and trim off the winter kill, the clump of peppermint, and then you have this hot vine. And it's just a tangled mess. And then I've got the little maple tree here that I'm trying to keep as a bush with cement, and then my forsythia that I planted last year. And I just noticed something really crazy. We have the knotweed that's planted over there. And I've got knotweed right there. So that means it went all the way under the pond itself and came up over here. Let's go take a backside peek at the greenhouse or the hoop house, and then I'll take you in there and show you what it's looking like, because some of the stuff has started to bolt. But there's the view from the backside. It's looking luscious and lovely. Pretty little entrance to the entrance. And it'll be so cool seeing it all full and flowering. But another plant of whimsy is a wild bellflower that's pretty much like a weed, but it gets these really pretty purpley blue flowers on it. So I just leave it for the whimsy of it. That's not your mama, little one. Got a single baby duck over here. But the baby ducks, for the most part, have just like they did last summer, turned into their own flock, and they just crawl under whoever will let them. So like I said, this grape here is doing really good, both of them. And this one is the 2 different types of champagne grapes. Still need to get the asparagus planted. But David John did the other day go through and remove the plastic off this door and put box wire on it. Mainly to keep Yeti if I can get in. Mainly to keep Yeti out, because he would just love to come in here and crawl on everything. But the bok choy bolted. Need to come through and pick what's salvageable and feed the rest to the birds so the cabbage in the back can take off. But the celery's doing good. Spinach is bolting also. Have to go through and see what I can save and feed to the birds and thin the cabbage out a little bit. But the beets, and the carrots and broccoli over here doing phenomenal. And the carrots and the cauliflowers here are doing great. Believe it or not, I've been thinning this lettuce and it just keeps going like crazy. Gonna have to remember next, or this fall, to try doing head lettuce because I think I'll be able to get it to go in here. And I need to get the rest of these radishes picked in here. But then for the peas, I got this green cloth netting for them because they're really starting to take off, and needed to get a trellis for them to climb up on. So let's look at our little, which one did we plant over here? That was nectarine. This should be my, no, this is my nectarine. There's the nectarine. It's coming on. Buds are still swelling. The crazy rhubarb bed that the birds have been pecking at. But the daylilies in this pot are doing great. This flower bed is on my to-do list to get a revamp because we're going to be pulling out most of the perennial sunflower, and it's going to get moved out front where our hedgerow is because half of that had died back because when my father-in-law had the driveway asphalted, they put Cazeron down, and it kind of killed the red twig dogwood back. But that door is open, and the 4 babies in there have integrated themselves with the rest of the flock. Ah, there they are. And they're running in the back there. Got a group of babies. And the baby ducks just quite literally go wherever they want. But I did get the raspberry bed pruned and weeded and shavings put down on it. So. But I just have the girls in there with the babies. I have to go through and do a little cleanup. My older Orloffs and the 2 turkeys. Oh, let me show you this grape. And this is my green table grape. But not very much winter kill in there. It's got lots and lots of growth coming on it. Foxgloves. And over here, I've got a hollyhock. Not sure what color. And then that clump of perennial sunflowers. So I just wanted to do a quick jump in here before I completely end the video. I have removed the gate, have cleaned out the goose pen, and the goslings are out. Loki has been a little aggressive towards them, but since I'm going to be out here all day, just keeping an eye on that because all else fails, he would get sequestered for a little bit. But there they all are. And Valkyrie is doing what she's supposed to, kind of protecting them from the boys. And the ducks, if she thinks the ducks are too close. because right there you can see the baby gosling and a Muscovy. Those two are the same age, so definitely a baby gosling. So this is where I'm going to end today's video. I hope you have a good day and a good week, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And even if you have a small garden space, eke out a little space for something pretty, because it just makes it more fun to be out where you want to be instead of where you have to be. So be back with you guys next week for the next adventure, because we're going to be getting this garden planted and we got lots to get in. So see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.